Hi there, this is Mark, and I'm in the yoga room at my gym, but I'm facing a different direction. And you can see it's actually nighttime, and I usually face the window where the sunlight's coming in, but now I'm facing into the room, and I'm on a bouncy ball. You can see I'm bouncing. And I decided to do the reading from The Golden Present this way, daily inspirational readings by Sri Swami Satchidananda. I just finished a practice, and yeah, this is for November 24th. And the topic is never forget a good act. There's a beautiful saying in the Thayurukkural. We should never forget a good act that has been done to us. At the same time, it talks about the act that we should forget. That is the one that is not so good, the one that might have hurt us. We should forget it immediately. We should not even remember it for the next hour. Then we will not have anybody as an enemy. Why do we call someone an enemy? Because we remember the harm that might have been done to us. If we forget it, there won't be any enemy. Is it not so? Enemies are created by our remembering what harm has been done to us. We create our enemies by remembering their misdeeds. If we have forgotten that, and if we remember all of the good deeds, even if somebody wants to be our enemy, he cannot, because we see him as our friend. No one is 100% good or 100% bad. People do many good things. Maybe once in a while, because of their lower nature, they might do something bad also. But if we're going to always remember the bad things, we will keep them as our enemies, which is not good. Instead, remember the nice things that they have done. Then they will always be our friends. Well, I immediately think of some of the people who seem to do a lot of bad things, one after the other. Bad things, bad things, bad things. It can be hard to imagine that they're doing good things, but I would say I feel like I'm probably making assumptions and not knowing how to be in their shoes completely to know that there are some good things that are being done. I feel oftentimes we're probably quick to criticize others and to point the finger at what we think they should be doing or what we think is wrong with what they're doing. And while some of it could be justified, and many would say is justified, is it helpful to keep that pointing finger and to get used to the habit of always criticizing? Because what if they then possibly change? Will we actually allow them to change? I've seen that happen before, where we get so stuck in our habit way of seeing something or someone that it actually might change, but our eyes are still seeing it as the same thing that we've created in our mind. So I like this practice here, which is to let that thing go, that negative thing go, and just focus on the positive. What is the good that that person has done? And at least it gives that opportunity for maybe when we're watching what the next action is, we're not already ready for it to assume it's going to be a bad, negative thing, but maybe there's something positive. But one time after the other, if you keep waiting for the positive and you keep seeing a negative, it is very challenging. Definitely, definitely. But I think that's even more of an exercise here in the practice of this. If we keep seeing the negative that puts us in a place of feeling negative, then it's creating a negative charge. And you can't, if you have a negative charge and a negative charge, it's like a battery. It's never going to see the light. It's never going to turn the switch on. So we've got to keep that counterpoint. And how do we do that? Well, we have to disengage from what we think and assume is happening and make sure that we're keeping, our side of the street clear and clean. And I feel like by doing that, we come back to that, our true nature, we come back to that positive charge to then be able to, have that possibility of witnessing a change in someone or something. And things don't work on our timeline. Life has its own timeline. We think our will is going to be the guiding force for others or things in the world, but there is something else operating, whether it's that other person's will or a higher will. something of a higher nature that's governing all of this. I just feel like whether you believe in God or you just simply believe in science, there's a cause and effect to all of this. And when we bring the balance of something that's positive, there's a ripple effect to that. So the point of this is to never forget a good act. You know, as much as someone may do some harmful things or negative things, we want to try to remember the positive things, you know, in that experience and in that exchange. And that ultimately it allows us to keep our peace. If we're always on the defense, we're ready to meet that person with, you know, that we think is negative, we're ready to meet them with negative, it's exhausting. I know I've experienced that, where I've had interactions where I've focused on the negative of the interaction. I focused on what they didn't do right, how it went wrong because of their fault. And then every time I would see that person, I would have that negative vibe about me. And it is tiring, and there's a part of me that knows that eventually that has to go away, that has to dissipate. It's just not my nature to stay in that way. But there are times when it'll hang on for a little bit, and that tells me I'm not following through on my practices to look bigger, open the aperture wider, and see the bigger picture of all of this. I'm enjoying the little picture view, you know, because I'm probably getting some kind of kick out of it, or there's some benefit that I'm getting that's feeding this, you know, not so beneficial part of me. But, you know, that takes some self-analyzing to be able to notice what are those triggers. A lot of it for us is just, it becomes instinctual. We don't even know why we're getting triggered. We just feel this feeling and we ride it, you know, in all its glory. And maybe that's not the best thing. So it can be challenging. All right, well, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that any of the things that have come out of these videos, you hold on to the positive of whatever's come out of it and just let go of anything that's not been useful. It's been a long project for me to do 365 days of reading from the Golden Present, and you know, it's just a daily practice. Sometimes I get behind, sometimes I get ahead, and it's just meant to be something to develop discipline and to maintain a commitment to something. It's going to end on December 20th, and that's coming up. So I'm enjoying being on this bouncy ball. And I'll see you next time. Okay.